vibes.
More heat.
For the News and Public Affairs Department of King's Radio 88.5, welcome to King's Newsroom, a 45 minutes news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of the world. Today is Tuesday, February 3rd, 2026. I am Newton Topper presenting stories we follow in this morning. Former First Lady Club Maria Estos, former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, for continued dedication to education, youth development, peace, and advancement of women and children. Dozens of children are left to the streets following their homes demolition in Say Town. Victims seek humanitarian intervention. The government of Liberia announces the country's candidacy for African Union Peace and Security Council seat. Rallies members of African Union to support Liberia's bid. Away from Liberia, U.S. President Donald Trump has threatened to sue comedian Trevor Noah after he joked about Trump and Jeffrey Epstein at the Grammy Awards. Dozens of worshippers kidnapped by gunmen in Nigeria's northern Kaduna state have returned home weeks after their abduction, police have confirmed. These plus the news bulletin, our international developments, are all packaged. We are taking a very short break to be right back. Thanks for rejoining in. Let's now have the news bulletin. Former First Lady Clark Weir has commended former Liberian President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf following her recent visit to the Clark Hope Foundation and the city of Hope Ekelebe in Marshall Magibi County. On Monday, February 2nd, the former Liberian president toured the institution where she interacted with students and administrators, a gesture widely seen as reflecting her continued commitment to education and youth empowerment. In a statement after her visit, Madam Weir described the former Liberian leader's presence at the institution as a testament to her lifelong dedication to education, peace, and the advancement of women and children. The statement further quoted the former First Lady as praising Madam Sirleaf for her sustained efforts toward women's empowerment and for maintaining strong belief in Liberia's future. Madam Weir characterized Madam Sirleaf's interaction with pupils and school administrators of the institution as a memorable moment that will be cherished for years to come. Hundreds of families are left homeless following the demolition of their properties and homes in Saytown. Recently, the Ministry of Public Works demolished several properties on 4th and 5th Streets in Cinco. The government claimed the demolition is intended to reclaim the land for national development, but victims, I said, they were not given adequate notice or compensation, a situation that has sparked widespread outrage. Several of the affected families claim of living in the area for decades, with some having built homes, schools, churches, and businesses. According to them, sudden destruction of their properties has left them struggling to find alternative shelter, with some forced to seek refuge with relatives or in temporary settlements. The Liberian government has announced the country's candidate for the seat on the African Union Peace and Security Council, representing the Western region for the period of 2026-2028. In a statement issued Monday, the Minister of Foreign Affairs disclosed that the elections will be held during the 48th Ordinary Section of the African Union Executive Council from the 11th to the 12th of February 2026 in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. The government statement added that its decision to vie for the seat reflects its enduring commitment to the principle of peace, security, and solidarity across Africa, adding that the country's candidacy comes at a pivotal moment as Liberia is currently serving as a member of the United Nations Security Council for the period 2026 to 2027 term. According to Foreign Ministry, the dual role offers Liberia a rare and strategic opportunity to harmonize the work of the AUPNC with that of the African Union members of the UNSC, the A3, ensuring that Africa's voice is amplified and coordinated in global peace and security deliberations. The statement recounted that over the past 2 decades, Liberia has consistently demonstrated its dedication to international peace and stability, further calling upon member states of the African Union to support Liberia's bid, expressing confidence that the country will serve with integrity, dedication, and spirit of collaboration. The executive director of the Liberia Peace Building Office, Sheikh Kamara, has underscored the need to elevate the institution to an autonomous peace building commission. Speaking with reporters in Monrovia Monday, Kamara emphasized the urgent need of establishing a dedicated and self-governing national body to strengthen peace, stability, and sustainable development in Liberia. He urged the national government to recognize the significance of the proposed transformation and take prompt action. According to Camara, the proposed peace-building commission, if established, will operate with broader mandate, increased funding, and direct reporting lines to the executive branch, and enhance its capacity to coordinate and implement national peace-building strategies. He added that the Commission will also work in close collaboration with the Ministry of Education and other key government institutions to ensure alignment with national curricular and broader educational objectives. Camarade further disclosed plans to integrate peace-building initiatives into national education system as part of efforts to promote structural reform. He at the same time announced ongoing collaboration with international peace-building bodies aimed at introducing peace education programs in Liberian high schools and universities. Residents of Boston Electoral District Number 1 in Miami County are appealing to national government and humanitarian organizations to urgently provide them with safe drinking water, citing serious health risks from unsafe sources they currently depend on. Speaking to reporters, the residents said they have been drinking unclean water for an open pit for nearly 50 years, a situation they say has exposed families, especially children, to constant health dangers. They described the condition as long-standing and neglected. In a separate statement, the resident accused the district representative of ignoring their welfare after winning elections. They also complained about the lack of school in Boston, noting that the nearest school is about an hour walk away, making education difficult for children. The pit located outside of the town is used as a main source of drinking water and has become heavily contaminated during the current dry season, increasing the risk of waterborne diseases. Residents described the situation as unbearable and renewed their urgency for the call of safe drinking water in the area. The executive director of the Anti-Brooks International Center for Women Empowerment, Leadership Development, Peace and Security, Dr. Chesson Gibson, has raised concern over what she described as growing frustration among young people across the country. Speaking at the fourth annual retreat of the Voices of the Elders of Liberia in Carisbrad over the weekend, Madam Gibson said many young Liberians are facing mounting frustrations, which she said is contributing to an increasing discontent between generations. She also noted that there are declining trust in public institutions, described the situation as a familiar pattern that have led the country into crisis. According to her, the institution and situations are early warning signs of danger, urging government officials, traditional leaders, and religious leaders to act promptly to address the underlying issues. She also emphasized the importance of criticism that is rooted in love for country, expressed with courage, civility, and patriotism. She also stressed the need for criticism to be rooted in love for country, courage with civility, and patriotism. For us, part, the chairman of the Voices of the Elders of Liberia highlighted the organization's achievements and intervention in addressing key national issues. He also outlined plans to initiate more policy-driven engagement and national stakeholders aimed at sustaining peace and stability in the country. A devastating fire incident on Monday led to the destruction of four-bedroom house in Town Hill community in Wayala, Magibi County. The incident, which occurred early Monday morning, is said to have caused extensive damage, leaving the structure burned down to ashes. According to eyewitnesses, no human casualty has been reported so far, as the cause of the fire is yet to be established. The Liberia National Fire Service, Magibi County Detachment, reported it made little or no efforts to cut off the fire. It is reported that a total of 4 family heads, inclusive of 15 people, are affected. African Women for Jesus to All Nations over the weekend honor Mother Deviata Brown Lassana, chairperson of the Liberia's National Elections Commission, for her service to the nation. Presenting the prestigious award to the NEC chairperson, the head of African Women for Jesus to All Nations described Mother Lassana as an outstanding leader with integrity and of service to democratic governance at both national and international levels. The award program held at the Pinsville City Hall brought together clergymen, civil society leaders from across, including officials of the government, who were also recognized for their nation. Speaking after receiving the honor, Madam Lassana described the award as a collective recognition rather than a personal achievement. She indicated and dedicated to the Board of Commissioners, that NEC staff, election stakeholders, and the Liberian government who supported the commission during what she described as trying but defining moment in the country's democratic journey. The Thompson Development Alliance, TDS, concluded the 5th edition of its student internship program in Salada and Kolonwolada administrative districts, Broom County. The 63 students from 7 high school across Salala and Kolonwolada districts benefited from the 1-month internship program. At the end of the program, each participant received a bank book with 10,000 Liberian dollars deposited, along with an ambassadorial certificate in recognition of successful completion. The student internship program is intended to equip outgoing senior students with working skills, practical exposure, strong work ethics, and financial discipline, thereby preparing them for a successful life after high school. Delivering the keynote address, Bratat Lamas, a social environmentalist, encouraged the students to remain intentional and focused on pursuing their goals. Also remarking, the Chief Executive Officer of TDA, William Tolabo Thompson, thanked all stakeholders for embracing the initiative as their own and reaffirmed his unwavering commitment to sustaining the program. And the National Patriotic Party Chairman Emeritus, Chief Cyril Allen, says writers of President Joseph Boakar's speech must be held responsible for what he called lies in the third state of the nation address. He urged the writers of the speech apparently failed to counter-check sources of information given them and be responsible enough about misleading information given them. According to him, the writers were under every obligation to counter-check every report that were forwarded to the executive mansion by verifying issues that are interest to Liberians before including it in the sonar. What if you just joining us? A reminder, you're listening to King's News, Bruna 45 minutes news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest afterward. Today is Tuesday, February 3rd, 2026, I'm Newton Tokwa presenting stories with following this morning. Former First Lady Clara Marie Weah Estos, former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf for continued dedication to education, youth development, peace and advancement of women and children. Dozens of children are left to the streets following their homes demolition in Town. Victims seek humanitarian intervention. The government of Liberia announces the country's candidacy for African Union Peace and Security Council seat, rallies members of African Union to support Liberia's bid. Away from Liberia, U.S. President Donald Trump has threatened the so comedian Trevor Noah after he joked about Trump and Jeffrey Epstein at the Grammy Awards. Dozens of worshippers kidnapped by gunmen in Nigeria's north-teen Kaduna State have returned home weeks after their abduction. Police have confirmed. These are stories we're following here this morning on King's News Broom. We are taking another short break. When we come back, we'll bring you the voices of the news makers. Thanks for rejoining. On this development now, the executive director of Liberia Peace Building Office, Sheikh Kamara, has underscored the need to elevate the institution to an autonomous peace building commission. Speaking with reporters in Monrovia Monday, Kamara emphasized the need for the establishment and a dedicated self-governing national body to strengthen peace, stability, and sustainable development in Liberia, and urged the national government to recognize the significance of the proposed transformation and take prompt action.
Well, right now we are at a crossroad. Peace Building Office under the Ministry of Internal Affairs. We've been having series of consultation, even with the authorities of the Ministry of Internal Affairs, the authorities of the Governance Commission, Law Reform Commission, and other stakeholders, civil society, to see how we could elevate the Peace Building Office to a Peace Building Commission, recommended for by the TRC report of 2009. If we read the TRC metrics of 2009, recommendation 204 calls for the establishment of Peace and Reconciliation Commission. And there's a document also that the Peace Building Office championed called the Strategic Roadmap for National Peace Building, Healing, and Reconciliation. That document also calls for an enactment for Peace Building Commission. We also have a document, this National Policy on Reconciliation. This document was crafted by the Peace Building Office with support for the Center for Humanitarian Dialogue. It also calls for a Peace Building Commission. So we have been in discussion with the authorities of the MIA then, and we'll continue to engage with the leadership of the Ministry of Local Government to see how they can support the process for this office to become a commission, an independent commission, because peace building should be apolitical. You can be a politician and you say you're doing peace building in a country. When you go to Rwanda, they have peace building commission. Post-conflict Rwanda, post-conflict Sierra Leone has a peace building commission. Even right here, Ghana, even though they never took up arms, but there was tribal and regional conflict in Ghana that led to the establishment of the Ghana Peace Council. There's a Peace Council in Ghana that is independent. So in order to make sure we have genuine peace and reconciliation in this country, we need a peace building commission that will oversee, coordinate, and monitor the peace building process in the country.
He's the executive director of Liberia Peace Building Office, Sheikh Kamara, speaking. Former First Lady Clara Weah has commended former Liberian President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf following her recent visit to the Clara Hope Foundation in the city of Hope, that's Ekeleme in Marshall, Magibi County. On Monday, February 2nd, the former Liberian president toured the institution where she interacted with students and administrators, a gesture widely seen as her reflection a commitment to education and youth development. In a statement issued after the visit, Madam Weah described the former Liberian leader's presence at the institution as a testament to her lifelong dedication to education, peace, and advancement of women and children.
computer hardware and computer software.
All right. What are hardwares?
Computer is an electronic device that accepts data through the input device, process it and bring out the information to the output unit.
Can you tell me what the hardware and the software? What is the hardware?
Hardware is the part of computer you see and you touch. We have keyboard, screen, computer mouse. About time.
Time. All right, tell me something about time. You pass. And you?
I learn about math.
Math. All right, do some math.
In math, we do 3 dishes. We have can, cylinder, cube, and red.
Wonderful, you pass through. Everybody pass.
Former Librarian President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf inter-ITO students of the Clara Hope Foundation in Marshall, Magibi County. Hundreds of families are left homeless following the demolition of their properties in Saytown. Recently, the Ministry of Public Works demolished several properties on 4th and 5th Streets in Cinco. The government claimed the demolition is intended to reclaim the land for national development of victims, said they were not given adequate notice of compensation, a situation that has sparked widespread outrage.
How true is it? I did not know because we did not receive any information. The court, if the person know that they get issue or all issue, invited us, but they did not invite us. The court did not do due diligence to send for us to come and investigate, do investigative survey on the property or the deed the person gave to them.
Who is the person that is claiming this land?
One so-called Erie number that I've never seen.
But have you?
I have not seen him. I was going to the lawmaker was around, but our person did not see the lawmaker. What he said, what he did not say, I did not hear.
As I said before, we want justice because the place on the field we didn't just go to sit there or to occupy the place. Our parents bought those places, you understand? And we had deed. We had satisfied deed for it that we bought from the Johnson family. So what I can understand is that whether there is a law that says when you buy a property from somebody, like for example, the Johnson family, then after a certain amount of years, the person can come back and reclaim that property. Is there any law in Liberia that says that? Because with our current situation, that's what they're trying to explain to us. And since we came here this morning, with our current situation now, we need immediate intervention. See me standing, I don't even well. I said, that my son right there. When the people came, the way they drag my son, he phone and I hurting him. And you understand? So we can't even give you a story. And if I saw I can call it exact size of the land my father can tell you.
How long you been there?
We've been there since the 80s. Our parents been there. Not well. I said it on the social media. And now well, you see me? I sick back. If you see me like that, I sick. And now well, I sick. And me my children are sick. The one I want that you get to somebody. Yes. And I already well. So much. I expected me for me to suffer. I sick. Nobody to talk for her. Even our representative Princeton, he couldn't say anything. He was there.
Some residents of Saytown expressing disappointment and frustration over the demolition of their homes and properties. Hundreds of families are left. Residents of Boston Electoral District 1A, Magibi County, are appealing to national government and humanitarian organizations to urgently provide them with safe drinking water, citing serious health risks from the unsafe source they currently depend on. Speaking to reporters, the residents said they have been drinking unclean water from an open pit for nearly 50 years. That's a situation that they say has exposed families, especially children, to constant health dangers. They describe the condition as long-standing and neglected.
Time for camping both when people they carry food or they do the one paying for all the water or bring here see the water condition is will come send that time they go after the election they come back to Oregon. Only thing I have to say is that I think the government to help us with safe drinking water because water is one of the important things in life. So asking the government to help us with hand pump. Children go to school, women face, when go to school, men want to go to school in the estate. So I'm thinking about 1 hour walk for your moment, my look up for you. You need to go on the mirror about 30 or 30, some minute walk free on the mirror. And from here to go, women visit is 30-minute walk. So the main thing about it, that is tuition business, money business makes for the children. Next month, 26,000 free and no hand for continue the education. The thing that you can born cool. You go pepe, dilabo, o'clock, picomo, pasao. We've been crying for many years, at least. Oh, it's too tough, daddy. Only rainy season we can drink good water. You see running water when you're running on water get food. On water get food, you had it cross here. I just recently gave some company 2 acre, they put a bridge and reaching the town for us. I pray you to check cross on China, okay. And the company help us, they see it.
Residents of Boston Electoral District Number 1, Maggie County, appealed to national government for safe drinking water. National Patriotic Party Chairman Emeritus Chief Cyril Allen says writers of the president's speech must be held responsible for what he called lies in the third state of the nation address, and urged the writers of the speech apparently failed to counter-check sources of information given them and to be reasonable enough about misleading information given them.
The speech writers of the president and advisors around him must be prudent and rational, and they have to be guided by the constraints that govern human conduct. They cannot make the president look like he's telling lies to the people of the country. They must be able to streamline the messages that are coming forward, observe the prevailing situation in the country, and be factual. Those things that are not happening, we can, for example, a typical example is about the jobs. It is easy for them to put in the president's speech that the formation and the creation of jobs have remained a challenge to our national government, and that efforts are being made to make it better. That way, you open it for people to be able to comprehend that and understand that the government is working towards the creation of jobs for the citizens. But you do not make categorical declarations that cannot be substantiated by facts and make Liberian people think that the president is deceiving them. And other issues too, the percentages and things, the economy, those things people should be precise and concise and make sure that the message is properly delivered so that people can have hope. Well, the purpose of the annual message is to give Liberian people, the people of the nation, hope that things are being worked on and that the government is reminded of those shortcomings that are in the country, and efforts are being made to try to regularize and stabilize them for the benefit of the citizens and to create a better living environment for the citizens. That is a responsibility of a national government, and the government must take its responsibility seriously and must make comments and recommendations and suggestions to the people that would enhance those things that they want to implement. Just to remind our president that he is one of us from the old order, and he knows how Liberia has been. Liberia is the oldest independent African nation, and we must be recognized by the international community as such. In fact, there should be a day in Africa that they call Liberia Day, because Liberia spearheaded independence for several African countries and provided safe haven for several African leaders who became prominent and were able to develop their countries to where it is.
He's the chairman emeritus of the National Patriotic Party, Chief Cyril Allen is speaking. What if you just joining us with the time half past the hour? A reminder, you're listening to King's Newsroom, a 45 minutes news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest afterward. Today is Tuesday, February 3rd, 2026. I'm Newton Toka presenting stories we're following this morning. Former President Leclerc Wiyat extolled former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf for continued dedication to education, youth development, peace, and advancement of women and children. Dozens of children are left to the streets following their homes demolition in Seatown. Victims seek humanitarian intervention. The government of Liberia announces the country's candidacy for African Union Peace and Security Council seat, rallies members of African Union to support Liberia's bid. Away from Liberia, U.S. President Donald Trump has threatened to sue comedian Trevor Noah after he joked about Trump and Jeffrey Epstein at the Grammy Awards. Dozens of worshippers kidnapped by Nigerian gunmen in Northern Kaduna State have returned home weeks after their abduction, police have confirmed. These are stories we follow here this morning on King's Newsroom. We are taking another short break. When we come back, we continue with more voices on the program. Thanks for rejoining. On this one now, the executive director of the Anti-Brooks International Center for Women Empowerment, Leadership Development, Peace and Security, Chestin Gibson, has raised concern over what she described as growing frustration among young people across the country. Speaking at the 4th annual retreat of the Voices of the Elders of Liberia in Carisburg over the weekend, Madam Gibson said many young Liberians are facing mounting frustrations, which she said is contributing to increasing discontent between generations. She also noted that there are declining trust in public institutions, described the situation as familiar patterns that have led the country into crisis. According to her, the situation had early warning signs of danger, urging government officials, traditional leaders, and religious leaders to act promptly to address the underlying issues.
Several marching students, distinguished elders of the Republic, esteemed statesmen and stateswomen, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, I bring you warm greetings and profound respect. It is an honor I do not take lightly to stand before the voices of the elders of the Republic of Liberia, men and women whose lives span the formative chapters of our nation's history. This gathering is more than a retreat. It is a council of countries. A nation that listens to its elders remembers its soul. Liberia at a familiar crossroads. Distinguished elders, Liberia today is not at war, but we are not at peace. We see rising frustration among young people, declining trust in institutions, a growing distance between generations. These conditions are not new. Those of us who lived through the years before the civil conflict recognize the warning signs. The difference now is that we know better. Lessons from the Women's Situation Room. Permit me another reflection. When we initiated the Women's Situation Room, first in Liberia and later across Africa, we learned something profound. Conflict prevention does not begin with authority. It begins with listening. Elders, women, religious leaders, and community actors sat together, not to accuse, but to interpret early warning signs. Many crises were diffused simply because respected voices intervened early. That experience reinforced a truth relevant to both RL. Nations do not collapse suddenly. They erode quietly when wisdom is ignored. Your collective voice has the power to interrupt that erosion.
This is a major fire outbreak here in the community. It's a Tower Hill community. This house is totally burnt. Rosa.
The highlight from the devastating fire incident which occurred on Monday. African Women for Jesus to All Nations over the weekend honored Madam Deviata Brown Lassana, chairperson of Liberia's National Elections Commission, for her service to the nation, presented a prestigious award to the NEC chairperson. The head of African Women for Jesus to All Nations described Madam Lassana as an outstanding leader with integrity and of service to democratic governance at both national and international levels. The award program held at the Painesville City Hall brought together clergy men, women, and children, civil society leaders from across, including officials of government, who was also recognized. Speaking after receiving the honor, Madam Lassana described the award as a collective recognition rather than a personal achievement.
For the National Elections Commission, which I represent, when I was contacted for this award, I really felt proud, not just for myself, but also for the Board of Commissioners and staff of the National Elections Commission, as well as all of the stakeholders who supported the National Elections Commission during trying times when we held the general elections in 2023. So I accepted the award not just on my behalf, but also on the behalf of all those who worked so hard, including the Liberian people, which we know that the thing about my job is that I think anyone can opt for that. You continue doing your best, stay within the law as much as possible, and do everything you can to work along with your colleagues, which is a good thing. And what we're doing now is planning for 2029. We're into a lot of trainings and capacity building. We also into electoral reform, boundary delimitation, stakeholders meetings we've held. And then we try to strengthen the data center in the commission by recruiting ahead of both data and IT to strengthen, the data center so that we do a better job the next time. Like I've always said, if you remain within the law, then the law protects your integrity in the process that you will be engaged in. And this is what happened with the elections of 2023.
The chairperson of the National Elections Commission, Deviata Brown Lassana, they're speaking. On this development now, the Thompson Development Alliance, TDA, has concluded the 5th edition of its students' internship program in Salala and Konowalala administrative districts, Brown County. 63 students from 7 high schools across the districts benefited from the 1-month internship program. At the end of the program, each participant received a bank book with $10,000 Liberian dollars deposited, along with an ambassadorial certificate in recognition of successful completion. The student internship program is intended to equip outgoing senior students with working skills, practical exposure, strong working ethics, and financial discipline, thereby preparing them for successful life after high school. Delivering the keynote address, Bratat Lamas, a social environmentalist, encouraged the students to remain intentional and focused in pursuing their goals.
So I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you that I'm allowed to speak here. And I'm very proud of those who were able to successfully finish the student internship program of the Women's Development Alliance. And it's a step in your life. It's a good thing about an internship is you have a chance to look into jobs, you have a chance to see in what you could be interested in. So one thing what I'm doing now, I give you a very short summary of my life, not everything, just the things which were, from my perspective, important and extraordinary. So, yeah, I realized I was born in Germany, and I was not a good student at school. I was never seen as a girl, and I was kind of not very concentrated, but I wanted to discover the world, so I was very nosy, and I think that is one thing which never happened. There's a positive side of being nosy. You're interested in things, you want to learn something. So I was late about, but in the moment I found what I liked.
The voice of Brata Lammers, who served as the keynote speaker there. And away from Liberia, US President Donald Trump has threatened to sue comedian Trevor Noah after he joked about Trump and Jeffrey Epstein at the Grammy Awards. Hosting the event, Noah said, "Song of the Year, that is a Grammy that every artist wants almost as much as Trump wants Greenland," which makes sense because Epstein Island is gone. He needs a new one to hang out with Bill Clinton. Trump is known to have been an associate of Epstein for years, but said he had no knowledge of his crimes and that he fell out in about 2004. There are no suggestions that he ever visited Epstein's private island, and he has not been accused of any crime by Epstein victims. The U.S. Justice Department has said allegations about him are unfounded and false. In 2020, a spokesperson for Clinton said the former president had never been to Epstein Island, Little St. James. Clinton has not been accused of any wrongdoing. Dozens of worshippers kidnapped by gunmen in Nigeria's northern Kaduna state have returned home weeks after their abduction, police have confirmed. There were among 177 people seized last month from 3 churches in the remote village of Kurmin, Wali. 80 people escaped on the day they were taken, but hid in neighboring villages for a fortnight due to fear of being captured again, state police spokesperson said. The authorities said efforts are ongoing to secure the release of the remaining 86 people still being held. The attack was part of a wave of kidnappings for ransom affecting many parts of Nigeria, but no group has said it was behind the abductions. On that note, this is how I would like to go home this morning on this edition of the program King's Newsroom, a 45 minutes news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of the world. But just before we go home this morning, let's remind you of stories we've been following. Former First Lady Claudia Estos, former President Ellen Johnson, shall leave for continued dedication to education, youth development, peace, and advancement of women and children. Dozens of children and citizens are left to the streets following their homes' demolition in Town. Victims seek humanitarian intervention. The government of Liberia announces the country's candidacy for the African Union Peace and Security Council seat, rallies members of African Union to support Liberia's bid. Away from Liberia, U.S. President Donald Trump has threatened to sue comedian Trevor Noah after he joked about Trump and Jeffrey Epstein at the Grammy Awards. Dozens of worshippers kidnapped by gunmen in Nigeria's northern Kaduna state have returned home weeks after their abduction, police have confirmed. These are stories we follow here on King's Newsroom. I would like to say many thanks to all of our reporters, correspondents, news editors who helped in making this package. Our sources better still join us this afternoon at 1 o'clock, at which time we will be here with another splendid and intriguing edition of the program Newsroom. My name is Newton Tupa. Thanks for listening and watching. Good morning.